So, welcome to the latest episode of the Talking Balls podcast, the weekly snooker podcast. I'm your host, Michael Wright, Writer74, and I haven't got my co-host with me, although I have. So let me explain. So my co-host Lee Mac is somebody that you've got to know over recent months, and we're doing something different this week. So we've actually got the European Snooker Championships in Portugal, and Lee's taking part in them. So I'm going to introduce not only my co-host but also my guest today, and that's Lee McAllister. Hi, Lee.
Hi everyone. It's good to be here. Michael, I have to apologise. I've not got my work uniform.
No, it's a role reversal today. You're the guest, so you can completely relax. You can go and scruff today.
It's good to be here.
It's good to see you. So, well, look, anyway, Lee, I know you've been out for a little bit, and you've got another kind of week or so, a bit longer out there. But it's interesting. I had a look at this, and I think what maybe the listeners and viewers might find interesting is just an insight into what looks like almost the premier or one of the premier kind of amateur competitions on the snooker calendar. I mean, it's big, isn't it? This competition in Portugal.
Yeah, it's big. Not so big for the likes of us pensioners because we don't have a tour card on the line, for winning events. But I win. But the under 21s, they've got a tour card on the line, a 2-year tour card. So we've just seen the end of that, and on the men's, I'm sure there's a 2-year tour card as well. There's a lot on the line for those guys.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at the calendar here, I mean, it looks to me like you've got the under 18s, the under 21s. I think they've both already happened, haven't they? You've got the 6 reds, you've got the men's mixed, you've got the women's tournament, you've got the seniors, the women's teams, the men's teams, and the senior teams. So there's an awful lot going on there over this period of time. I mean, it must be just a festival of snooker out there.
Well, it's exactly that. All bases are covered. We're getting our European champions for all the, every tournament's a European championship, for the men's, under 8, under 21. So all bases are covered. And it's great coming here every year because you're seeing the same people competing, the Europeans, and it's sort of like a family in a way,
Yeah. And I guess you probably couldn't do this last year. I'm presuming that COVID put the mockers on that. It wasn't possible to do it. So this has been a year out, I presume.
Yeah, I mean, we're usually at the European Championships May, after the World Championships. So I think this time of year was the only time they could get it going, and I think they would rather have the European Championships and not have it.
Yeah.
With tour cards on the line and stuff. So no, it's good to be here now. Everyone's done a great job putting it on.
So how does it work, Lee? Just give us an idea from a player's perspective. I mean, we used to see in the main tournaments and the fans starting to come back in and kind of almost 3 or 4 tables and then going down to 1, etc. I mean, what's the setup that you've seen so far in terms of, take for example, I don't know, have you seen much of the under 21s or the under 18s and how that's worked?
Yeah, well, when we got here, one of our young Scottish players, Liam Graham, he was still in the tournament. He got to the semi-finals, so we watched his progression through the tournament. He was knocking in breaks for fun. I think he had a couple of centuries and about 7 breaks over 50. So he was really playing well. He got to the semi-finals. He was beat by Ben Mertens. Great young player, Ben. And he really enjoyed it. But the setup is we've got a match table, and then there's another room, and it's got 4 tables in it.
Right.
And then there's a room on the other side of the hotel, and it's got, I think, 12 tables.
Oh, okay.
And it is great because obviously we're staying in the hotel, so we can just come down in the lift, bring our cue, and play our matches. We're not travelling to the venue because all the tables are in the hotel. So it's a great setup.
Yeah, no, that sounds really good. And I guess it's just a basic question about how you get into this. I mean, how you, as a player playing in Scotland, how you get from there to, I mean, do you get invited? Do you apply? How does that all work?
Well, it's basically through the tournaments you play, your national tournaments. Your tournaments have got a ranking list. So if you finish in the top 4 of the ranking list, you're eligible to play.
Okay.
But you've got to finish in the top 4. And obviously, if one of those guys in the top 4 don't play, it just comes down the list.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we get into it.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So there is an element of, you know, a lot of the guys are there on merit, almost representing their countries. I mean, does it feel like you're representing Scotland? I mean, obviously you're in the teams tournament where you clearly are. And I've seen some of the social media around you going, where obviously there's a lot of people back home cheering you on. And so do you feel there's almost an individual element, but also, you know, that kind of national pride as well?
Yeah, I mean, I love the individual tournament, but there's nothing quite like, you know, playing for your country. And when you've got a teammate, you know, they're teamsy too. So when you've got a teammate and Gary, who's also my friend, and you're playing for them, it sort of means a lot more. You put that extra bit of concentration in because you're desperate not to let them down.
Yeah. And what's the support like back home? I mean, you know, in terms of the Scottish scene and all of that. I mean, you know, how are you being supported by them? Is there a good setup there? Do you keep in touch?
Yeah, I've got to thank everyone back home on behalf of all the Scottish lads that are out here, because we're well supported. You know, friends, family, Scottish Snooker as well. Everyone's been in touch, and we can't thank them enough for their support. And you know, when you're playing your matches, you're sort of playing for them as well.
Yeah,
you're hoping to get a good result because you want everyone to cheer about it back home. So support's been fantastic, and I can't thank them enough.
Fantastic. Yeah, that sounds a lot of fun. And so looking at the tournament so far, I mean, I've kind of looked down the list there of what's you know, there's quite a comprehensive website there, ebsa.tv, that kind of tells you a lot about the draws, and then you can go into the individual tournaments. So we've had the under-18s. I think that was Ben Mertens who won that. You've mentioned Ben already.
Yeah, he won that final 4-3. I think during that tournament he had a break of 133, so he was scoring really well. But he's a great young player, and it's just a matter of time. Well, we've seen him on the tour, but it's just a matter of time before he's a staple on tour, I reckon.
Yeah. And the 21s, I mean, we've got a Welsh player now, Dylan Emery, who's won the 21s, which does earn him the 2-year card. So again, that's really good, isn't it? Having somebody comparatively local anyway, in terms of at least British Isles player winning the 21s.
Yeah, that's right. Dylan's doing well in the men's as well. He just got through this morning. He won 5-2 in the final against Julian Leclerc. And in the men's, I'm sure yesterday made a break of 143, so he holds the highest break.
Wow!
So he's enjoying the conditions. He's playing really well.
Yeah. And I mean, have you played? Well, we'll go in a minute to you, because I guess there is the risk that the tables might play differently in different rooms. I don't know, but you as a player might be able to talk about that. You've also got the 6 Reds, and I know that was what you played your first games in the 6 Reds, and how does that work? Is that a straightforward knockout, or, you know, kind of round robin? How does that one go?
Well, it has been a knockout this year, but in past years it was group stages, just like the individuals in the Masters. You know, it's all group stages. You've got another 3 players, but this year, I don't know why, but it's straight knockout. So it'd be nice to sort of break ourselves in and get a few matches in the group stages, but unfortunately, just straight knockout. But you do get a schedule in the morning, and each country has a schedule for practice.
Okay.
So we've came on the wrong side of that the last few mornings, because we've got 8:45, and practice stops at 9 o'clock. So for 15 minutes. God. So my 6 Reds game, that was the last time I've played. But I kick off tomorrow. I've got 2 matches tomorrow, 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock.
Yeah, tell us more about those then, Lee. Who do you know who you're against, and what stages are you at with those?
I know the guys from Poland. I've got a guy from Poland and Finland in my group, and a guy from Wales, Stephen Thomas. He's a really good player. I played him back in I think it was Romania a few years ago. He beat me. He's a really good scorer. So I've got those guys in the group. Hopefully I get a good run against the other two guys, and I can maybe get a result against Stephen.
Yeah.
And how it works is, it's not on wins, so it's on frames.
Okay.
So the two guys that have got the best frame difference, after all matches are played, they'll go through to the knockouts.
Right. Yeah. So, and I guess the six reds. I'm just thinking now, how much can you prepare for that? Because it's a completely different game, is it not? I mean, it's snooker, but not as we know it.
It's a bit more cutthroat. The six reds.
Yeah.
You make a mistake or you hit your break too thick and you leave them in. You're sort of half expecting for them to clear up.
Yeah.
Win the game. But I mean, in my match, I got a few chances. We both had plenty of chances, but he came out on top, and it's a good test. And I see the six reds as maybe more a bit of fun before the individual and the team start. So it's a good way to practice.
And do you notice anything I mentioned about the tables? I mean, the setup being in different rooms and potentially different tables for all of the games you're playing. Do you notice any difference in how they play? I guess you sussed it out fairly early, don't you? Once you start just your first couple of shots.
Yeah. I mean, we get 5 minutes before our match starts, so we get a little bit of practice to judge how the table's running. A lot of the guys, the better guys have said that they're quite sluggish at tables, but But for me, at home I play on a slower table, so that they're fine. They're absolutely fine. I really enjoy them. But generally, they're quite consistent from room to room and how they're running. So to me, they're beautiful tables.
Yeah. And
really, the conditions must be pretty good because there's a lot of breaks flying in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, some big ones, and you've got some players in there who are either been on the tour and are fairly well known in their own right, or they're almost early doors. So you've got players like kind of Robin Hull from Finland, who is obviously kind of been around now for a little while, and I think we've got Darren Morgan involved.
That's right, yeah.
A guy that well, I think. And then you've got the other end of it as well. You've got Robin McGuigan, the kind of Northern Ireland winner, who's a young fella himself, and I think he's actually, as far as I'm aware, I think he pulled out of the Northern Ireland Open to carry on playing in the Europeans.
That's right. I think Robbie played in this because he was targeting the under 21s. So he got his 2-year tour card if he won that. I think I don't know what round he got to, maybe last 16 or, but there's a lot of good young players. But Robbie was targeting the 2-year tour card. Yeah. But going back to Robin Hull, I watched Robin Hull this morning. He was playing Ross Muir.
Oh, yeah.
Former pro as well, and that was a cracking match. In the middle of that match, Robin had back-to-back centuries.
Wow!
And it went to a decider, and Robin just nicked it at the end. But we've seen some brilliant matches, really have.
So the standard sounds high then, in terms of being able to put the breaks together, and as you say, the tables can't be too bad if they're doing that. Are you seeing a lot from the youngsters to feel optimistic? I mean, we have this debate, don't we, when we talk to some of the players on the podcast about the young wave of players coming through, and I guess it's different perhaps playing each other or playing in these kind of tournaments than maybe going to the big events and the big venues against the more weathered pros. But you're obviously seeing some high standard of play out there.
Yeah, I mean, the play's been fantastic. It's like the younger guys, they're so fearless. When they're playing, I always quite struggle to adapt. I'm a lot older, but I struggle to adapt to these conditions. But I think generally in their clubs, they're playing on tables like this.
Right.
They'll play on a star table because when they go away or if they get on tour, that's what they're playing on.
Yeah.
So I think they're coming well prepared to these events. And well, they must be because the standard's sort of through the roof.
Yeah. It's exciting, isn't it? It's exciting to see a lot of names that hopefully we'll see more of in the future, and we'll perhaps get on in their own right in the future when they start making a name for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people at home, they've heard of the names, that are playing here in the draw, and the future's bright for the younger generations. A lot of good players coming through.
Yeah, it sounds exciting. Excuse me. Yeah, sounds good. So for yourself then, I mean, what do you do with the downtime? I mean, there's going to be times when you're not playing. I mean, it's all kind of based around the kind of resort there, isn't it? And the hotel. And is there much of a social scene? Are you getting to kind of see the delights of the Algarve?
Too much of a social scene, if I'm being honest. We've got to be careful and sort of keep our distance at times, you know. But yeah, you know, on the downtime, we'll maybe go into Albufeira. You know, Albufeira is maybe 15 minutes in a taxi.
Right.
So we spent the day there yesterday, and you know, just sort of relax and watch DVDs in the room or chill out by the pool. Yeah. So, but we've done a lot of relaxing now, and we're looking forward to starting our matches.
Yeah, of course, yeah. It looks like the weather's being kind. You seem to have caught a little bit of a tan there. Yeah,
a little bit. It shows up my grey hair a little bit more, you know, with a browner face. But yeah, the weather's fantastic. It's hard to believe that it's raining in Scotland.
Oh dear, it's not fair, really, is it? It's not too bad here. I mean, I'm in Nottingham. It's a few grey clouds, but it's mainly blue. And last week was miserable, but yeah, it's a bit better.
Yeah, it looks quite bright. Not bad for October.
Not bad at all. Yeah, can't grumble. Yeah, so sounds cool. So your next few games then. So you've got the teams and you've got the seniors individual as well. Then, you know, what's your hope? So you're just going to take each game as it comes?
Yeah, I think initially, you know, you're in a group, and I think you've got to just look to try and come out of your group.
Yeah.
Get yourself into the knockouts, you know, and that's the same with the teams. You know, so we'll be hopefully get a little bit of practice in the morning. I'm on at 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock. My partner Gary Kinnear, he's on tonight at 7 o'clock. So, so really, if you're not playing, we'll be supporting the other Scottish guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's easy enough to kind of watch them all, get somewhere you can sit and watch them, and you know, be part of that.
Yeah. I mean, they've got plenty of seating round about, so you can just pick your match, sit yourself down, and watch the match. It's a really good setup.
Yeah, brilliant. And what about the women's game? I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of talk this year in particular because of the women's places on the world tour, on the on what was the men's tour, but. I mean, how's that? Are you getting to see? Are you noticing any changes? Whether there's more women playing now, or you're seeing around the game now in terms of even on the Europeans?
Well, you know, the women's tournament kicks off. I don't know if it's today or tomorrow, but they've all started to arrive now, and I've seen a few new faces that I've not seen before. I don't know them that well or really speak to, but you know, Wendy Jans from Belgium, she'll be one of the favourites, and Bex Kenna's here.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot of good players, very strong players. So it'll be interesting to maybe sit down and have a watch of the women's game while I'm here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that sounds really cool. And how long are you there for then, Lee? I think is it next week you're back?
Yeah, fly back Monday the 18th. So I think from tomorrow till the 18th, it's pretty much snooker.
Yeah.
You know, which is nice because I've had four days downtime, so I'm ready to kick on and start playing.
Yeah, and it's and you've been. I mean, the podcast has been mentioned there, hasn't it? Haven't you had somebody recognise that you're involved in the podcast?
Yeah, Brian Natroyski. He came up and he said he loved what we're doing. He heard the Neil Robertson episode, so I invited Brian on. So he'll be coming on. You know, when we get back, we'll get that sorted. No, so there's a few people, and it's obviously the word's getting out there.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, I think that's something that we're trying to do with this, isn't it? It's just almost shining a light on different aspects of the game, and we've obviously got the long form interviews with the bigger players when we can get them. But I mean, something like this where we can kind of get a feel more for the wider parts of the game, and you know, almost the supply line of who's coming through and who we're going to see over the next few years. It's quite an exciting time. And did you play? I mean, this is again, I've not asked you any of this really, but I mean, you're now in the seniors teams and in the individuals. I mean, did you play as a young fella in these tournaments? Did you have these tournaments available to play in?
Well, I think they were available, but it was never anything I'd sort of heard of. You know, I played in the national events on the main tour and stuff, but I never remember there being a European Championships. But I've maybe just missed that. It's only since I became 40 and I started playing on the Masters Tour that this has all opened up for me. So life certainly began at 40 for my snooker. You know, it was, and I've been invited. You know, we've got the European Championships and got county championships, and we've got an ICC, the International Challenge Cup. That's an event we play in, and this has all became available to me since I've turned 40.
Yeah.
So it's been really busy.
yeah. Life. So there you go. Anyone who's under 40 at the moment who's maybe figuring out what they want to do. Life can begin at 40.
Absolutely.
Oh, excellent. I don't know if you're keeping in touch with the Northern Ireland Open while you're out there, whether you're getting half an eye on what's going on, but interesting early days.
Well, on our TV, we've got Eurosport, but it doesn't seem to be showing the snooker, so I'm a bit gutted about that. But I did hear Mark Allen made a 147.
Yeah.
And I seen the way he cleared up. It was remarkable, really.
Yeah.
Did you see it yourself?
Yeah, well, I saw the tail end of it, but then I saw his interview afterwards, and it sounded like he was almost saying about getting out of position a few times, even though he did the maximum, and how he kind of recovered for that. But I mean, seeing him kind of in the Championship League near the end of that, seeing aspects of what he's done since as well, I mean, he looks like he's going to be pretty tough to beat this season, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And Mark's renowned for his positional play. He's never more than 18 inches away from his next ball. So I think the adrenaline must have been pumping on that maximum. Hitting the balls too hard, but the clearance he made was fantastic. And under that pressure in front of his home crowd, I think that was a proud moment for him.
Well, and again, you know, what a level of play we're seeing already, isn't it? I mean, you know, the start of the British Open before that was John Higgins getting it on the opening day.
That's right, first game.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we need to ask Mark if he's been spinning or doing anything like that, you know. Perhaps that's the bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what a level, you know, what a great level of play, and nice to have it all back again, really. And this will go out anyway. This will go out on Wednesday, so we'll still be in the middle of the Northern Ireland Open. But for you guys, you'll know a bit more by the time this goes out as to how you're getting on and how it's feeling in the groups and the tournament. So we'll obviously need to keep an eye out and look on the website ebsa.tv. And if you're interested in finding out, you know, following how these tournaments are going. And we'll have 2 new cards from it. I think it's 2. So we'll have the under-21s with Dylan Emery, and the one from the men's, the mixed ones. It's got a card on there, the 2-year card. So again, great rewards for those who succeed in the sun in Portugal.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it's really a big carrot for these guys. You know, this 2-year tour card, and they're so cool. Under pressure, these guys. It's like, I think if I had a 2-year tour card on my match, I'd be in a heap on the floor. But they're so cool. So they're sort of built for the game, you know.
Yeah. No, it's exciting to hear and to think of some of these guys coming through, and it's as you say, big carrot, and it gets them right in the middle of things, doesn't it? It gives them a real chance to get established. And what's amazing is if you look at some of the way the rankings might go in terms of the cut for the end of this year. I mean, there's some very good players who at the moment could be finishing out of the 64.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough gig, you know, and they're back to Q School, and it's really hard to come through Q School. You know, actually, for the young guys and stuff, it's better trying to win your card in European Championships than go to Q School, where it's just a minefield.
Yeah. No, it's you didn't see Hayden out there, did you? We obviously had Hayden Staniland a little while ago on our podcast, who reached the final last year in the 21s, but didn't quite finish that one off. Did you see him around at all?
No, I was looking for him, Michael, but I must have missed him. He must have knew it was coming and just jumped on a plane.
yeah. Let's not get another interrogation from them again.
No.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think he quite got to the heights this year as he did before. So we'll have to catch up with him. But there's a shout out to Hayden anyway. He's
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll bounce back, and we'll hear of him again soon.
His time will come, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, look, Lee, I mean, I think it's been really interesting to just find out more about the European Championships. Again, the amateur. I find it odd saying the amateur game because it's the amateur game in one sense, but that mix and that kind of the break between somebody being a pro and an amateur. I mean, it's often guys who suddenly are off the tour and they're counted as amateurs and they're entering all these other competitions.
Yeah,
it seems to be a bit
harsh,
blurred.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it does a little bit. Yeah, it feels a bit. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, these guys are so good. I mean, they're professional level, and their status is amateur, but you know, we don't see them like that.
No. I think of amateur as almost the club player at home who never plays outside their club. I mean, that for me feels like an amateur snooker, but not when you're playing at this kind of level.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, or you've got the sort of semi-pro. You know, you've probably got your semi-pros here, and then you've got your guys that are basically pros, but they've got their amateur status.
Yeah.
You know, you've got plenty of guys here that have been on tour and they've done it on tour. We've got Patrick Wallace.
Yeah.
You know, Patrick Wallace, he got to the quarters of the Worlds in 2005. He's here, still playing a great game. You know, the standard's so high and it's so difficult.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, and we spoke to Jason Ferguson and he talked a little bit about some of the reforms to the game and, you know, and how almost there was this kind of supplementary tour now that was starting up, really, the Q Tour. And obviously thinking about how the EBSA goes forward and just that development of the game beyond the World Tour. So it sounds like there's what's really exciting is when you look, you can see all the nations who are involved, all the different countries you don't think about all the time who are playing snooker and obviously have quite thriving scenes and then sending their players to tournaments like this.
Yeah, you can sometimes fall into a trap by saying, I've got somebody from Albania in my groups or somebody from, you know, a country that you wouldn't associate with snooker.
Yeah.
But when you actually get on the table with them, obviously because you've got to finish in top end of your rankings, they're sending the best people that they've got, really, and it's quite surprising. Snooker's just getting bigger and bigger, and the reach of snooker is phenomenal at the moment. Yeah,
exactly, and so tournaments like this are going to be nothing but good, aren't they? They give them a showcase and something to aim at, and as you say, even just that lure of the tour card. It's a shame in a way you don't have like a kind of some sort of way to get into the World Senior Tour, really, isn't it? Is it on the back of these tournaments? That would be quite good fun.
Yeah, I've never thought of that. Maybe that's something that Jason will look into in the future. You know, he seems to be doing everything else. You can. When we spoke to Jason, his passion really came across. So the game's in good hands, and I'm sure if there's a way into that for players, then it'll get us there.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, as you say, it seems to be looking at ways of the cream rising to the top, really, if they get the chance. So. Yeah, perhaps there's new ways that could be still thought about. So, well, look, Lee, I mean, I think what I'm going to do is kind of thank you really for your time, and I'm sure you'll be thinking about your games coming up, and obviously I'll keep an eye on them. Have you got any messages? I mean, this will go out on Wednesday, so you'll still be out in Portugal. Have you got any messages for anyone who's following your form or your family, friends, etc.?
Yeah, obviously my wife, Net. But my number one fan, and the kids, they're always messaging support. And so I really miss them. I've not been home for a while, so I really miss them and that they're full support. My family, obviously, my friend and partner, my teammate, Gary, he's getting a lot of support as well. He's not on the podcast today, but I'm sure he would want to thank everybody that's supporting him. So we've had an amazing support. So it's just a general big thank you to everybody out there.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I hope they see it. I hope they see it. We'll do our best to make sure they know how to access it, and they can see you on the video as well as listen to you on the podcast. So, yeah, that would be great. And it's nice, isn't it? It's nice to kind of have that backing behind you when you go into something like this. So,
yeah, absolutely. And I've got to say thanks to you as well, Michael, for having me on doing this today. And you've obviously supported me as well. You've sent me messages. So I want to thank you as well. It's been great.
Yeah, no, you're very welcome. And as I said before, when we've when we've done these episodes with people, I'm kind of the more organized things, and I like to have a chat with people, get to know them. But you're the guy who's can actually relate to the playing side of it, and I think it's exciting. I'm able to say today that we've got the podcast live from Portugal for the European Championships. If you'd said to me 6 months ago, do you think you'll be broadcasting a snooker podcast from the Algarve in a European tournament? That wouldn't have been happening. That's crazy.
It's crazy. It's amazing how it's progressed over the last couple of months, and it's definitely down to you and your passion for the game and your passion for the podcast. So long may it continue.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting you back as the co-host anyway. But for today, Lee, you've been a cracking guest, and thanks for giving us a good insight into the workings of the European Championships, and just a part of the game that maybe people don't know about as much, but perhaps this will perk their interest up. And all the best for the rest of the week. And I've got my fingers crossed that you get some good results.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks very much, Michael. I really appreciate that, and thanks to everybody out there. It's been great, and I'll see you soon.
Brilliant. Cheers, Lee.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.